QTP PPT presentation about QTP. Hello.
Yes, yes, I'm listening.
Yeah. Actually, before going to QTP, initially I'll give a small description about testing and all. So actually, why we need testing in a project, and what are the types of testing we have in current market to test any project. So initially, from beginning of any project, there will be testing is a phase which will be occurred in any test in any project. So we have different types of testing. Actually, we have manual testing. So we have automation testing. So today I'm going to present you about automation testing.
Okay.
So why automation actually? Suppose if you have any application, we want to test any application, and manually we have a lot of procedures to test that application. We have test cases, we have test scenarios. So if it is a one time, we will just write that we'll test that application using the test cases and using test data. But if you want to test that application repeatedly, so once that we have to create the test cases. For the test cases, we have to create the test scripts using the test automation tools. So if you create test scripts, we can run the test scripts whenever required by just changing the test data without any additional cost, so that we can reduce the manpower and we can reduce the cost and we can reduce the time, we can save the time. So that's why we are using the automation testing. So if a project is too big, then it's better to go for automation. And once you decide to do automation, we have different automation tools in market. So we have QTP, we have Selenium, we have RFT, we have Test Complete, we have Test Studio, we have OPTGHAR. So a lot of tools are there in market. Among that, QTP, Selenium, RFT, Test Complete, these are all very famous tools in market. Within this also, QTP is very successful tool. More than 90% of companies use this tool. This is a standard tool which can be tested, which can be used across many projects and many applications like web application, Java application, .NET application. So irrespective of many applications, QTP has solutions to test.
Okay.
So why generally we go for why? So we have a lot of tools. Why you go for QTP means, so it is a easy even for a non-programmer basically, and there are a lot of features in QTP, like it has a record and playback, and we have ability to edit the scripts after recording, and after writing programs, I mean test scripts. Object identification mechanism is very excellent in QTP, and supports for different add-ins like Java, Oracle, SAP, .NET, Web Form, SQL, PeopleSoft, Web Services, Mainframes, and Terminal Power Builder, Terminal Emulator, and so on. We have many applications supported by QTP. Okay. So any issues till now?
No.
Okay. And we have a lot of frameworks are there while using QTP. We have keyword-driven testing approach, we have data-driven testing approach, modular testing approach, hybrid framework, and we have DPT also. So these are all the very famous, successful frameworks which are used according to their project.
Okay.
And we can integrate QTP also with test management tools like QC. So we can integrate QTP to Quality Center, and we can save our test scripts in Quality Center. We can run scripts from Quality Center, and we can save the upload results to Quality Center. So if you integrate QTP with Quality Center, so that we can run the scripts across globally from anywhere in using HVD machines, using RDPs. So locally, wherever you want to run, we can run at a single point.
Okay.
And QTP has many features like It comes with an inbuilt IDE, which is very simple to use. And we have two types of views. One is keyword view, another one is expert view. Like uh, to write a script using this IDE, we have two views. One is keyword view and one is expert view. In expert view, we can write this test script using VBScript. It's a scripting language actually, derived from VBA, Visual Basic Application. So with QTP, we can use many languages like JavaScript. We can use Python. We can use Perl. So, but VBScript is too famous actually,
Okay.
and it is very compatible and highly successful tool in market, and we can customize a QTP as per our requirement.
Mm. Okay.
And coming to QTP concepts, we have many concepts in QTP, and few have been mentioned here. One is panes, different panes in QTP. Suppose, I mean, if you have any doubt, we can raise here. See, if you see, once you install your QTP in your local machine, if you open QTP, by default, without choosing any add-ons, by default, there will be three add-ons. One is visual, one is actors, one is web. So if you check on all these three add-ins, and if you open, you'll see the test pane actually. In that test screen pane, we'll see a lot of panes actually. Active screen, data table screen, data table, debug viewer, missing resource, and so we can see a lot of panes. So for each and every pane, there is a reason and there is a what you call like a concept to explain and what that pane does, what is the nature of that pane, how we can use that pane. So uh, when you go in course, we can discuss in depth, but these are all the panes actually,
Mm.
main panes of QTP. So, and QTP is a tool, and what type of tool it is. So it has a feature of like we can record and we can play that. We have checkpoints, output values, generator. Uh, it supports for environmental variables. We can write the script. We can use the tool without any configuration, just zero configuration of technology. Just QTP is a tool. Just install in your machine, and we can write the scripts. We can save. It has all the features developed by the HP
Okay.
and add-ons. So as I said earlier, if you want to test a web application, just we need web add-in. In the same way, if you want to test a Java application, while opening QTP or while installing QTP, we need to add the Java add-in features as a prerequisite. Suppose if you want to test a .NET add-in, .NET application, we need to install the .NET add-in. Suppose if you want to test a Power Builder, if you want to test a SAP application, so for whatever application QTP supports, if you want to test any kind of application, we need to install that add-in, and while opening QTP, we need to check that checkbox, and then only it will identify that. Then only QTP identifies that application. So we have different types of add-ins like web add-in, web application add-in. We have SAP add-in, .NET, Oracle, CWell, Power Builder, PeopleSoft, .NET Java, and terminal emulator. And we have many applications, many add-ins supported by QTP.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
And as I said earlier, two types of views in test pane. So we have normally two types. One is keyword view, another one is expert view. In
Okay.
expert view, write the script using VBScript. Suppose if you are using QTP VBScript combination, so in expert view you write the test script using the VBScript language and QTP concepts. And whatever you have written in that expert view, that can be seen in a step-by-step in a row format using in keyword view. Whatever you are writing the script in the expert view, the same thing can be seen in keyword view as a step-by-step view. That is about the keyword view.
Mhm.
And types of recording. Normally we do normal recording. That is a basic recording. So recording using the properties of the object. It will record the properties of an object. When you play it, it will play according to what you have recorded. And we have unlock mode of recording, which is mouse movements when you click or when you do keyboard strokes, it will record that. And low level of recording. So low level is like a two combination of analog and normal recording. In this we can mainly it will consider here like the height and width and the X path, all these things. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
And working with test objects.
Mm-hmm.
Suppose you are working on a web application project, and if you are using QTP, so we have different types of standard test objects, web test objects. That is, we have standard browser object, there will be a page object, frame, web element, web list, web table, web edit, web radio group, link, button, image, checkbox, comma box, and we have many other. But these are all the familiar test objects of a web application when you work with a web application.
Okay.
So if when you launch QTP and if you add a web, I mean if you check the web add-in and if you try to identify any object in the application using QTP, and it should be a browser, it should be a page, or it might be a frame, it might be a web element, it might be a web list, it might be a web table. There is, I mean like if you are working with Java, working with a .NET application,
Okay.
working with SAP application. So when you try to identify an object for SAP, it will show as a SAP browser, SAP page, and SAP web list, SAP table, like that.
Okay.
So here I have mentioned for a web application, it will be identified in this way.
Okay.
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 And as I said, while writing script, when you are running the script or when you are identifying the test object in an application, we are using there is an option called object spy. So if you spy a object in the application, so it will give you a list of properties. That properties are used to recognize the object while runtime by QTP. So we have standard object recognition, we have mandatory properties. What this QTP does means, when you add an object, first of all it will add mandatory objects to identify an object uniquely. If that objects are not enough to identify object in the application, then it will go for assistive properties. If with assistive properties, if it is not able to identify, we have ordinary identifier like index, location. So with that we can identify. If even though object identification is not able to identify using ordinary identifier, we have one more concept called smart identification. So this smart identification, we have, if you want to use this smart identification mechanism, first of all we need to enable the smart identification for what type of object we are going to identify. If you want to identify a browser object, just we need to check the smart identification for browser object. And in smart identification, we have two types of object properties: base filter object properties, optional filter object properties. So if you want to enable that smart identification mechanism, just we need to click on tools and object identification, then check the smart identification checkbox. So then it will work. From next time it will be work. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, if like I'm just giving a high level demo. So if when you go for real time and in course, or when you are working with QTP, we'll get practical and knowledge on it.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Next, object repository. So this object repository is nothing but when you add any test object in your QTP, by default it will be saved in a local object repository. So here normally we have two types of object repositories. One is local object repository, another one is shared object repository. So this local object repository, for every action there will be a local object repository. But shared object repository can be used globally across any script by associating that object repository to that script when you are running.
Right. Right.
And as I said earlier, object spy. With this object spy, we can spy on any, if you spy on a browser, so it will give the test object class. I mean the class of the object. If it is a browser class, it will give the browser name, browser name, creation time, and a lot more properties like HTML ID, so HTML tag, and what are the projects properties which are given by the developer. Okay.
Okay.
So component, inbuilt component of QTP. So when you click on object spy, and if you spy on the browser, so it will give what type of object are you, I mean, you have spied, and what type of class it comes under which class. As I said, like if it is a browser, it will give the list of properties. In object spy, normally we have two types of properties. One is native properties, and one is identification properties. Normally, if you want to identify an object, we will go for an identification properties only. But native properties also is used when the situation comes. That I will tell in course time.
Okay.
Okay. Next, we have a beautiful concept called checkpoints. So the user, we have a lot of we have different types of checkpoints actually. So standard checkpoint, bitmap checkpoint, text checkpoint, XML checkpoint, database checkpoint, accessibility checkpoint. So what is the main purpose of this checkpoint is, suppose if you want to, suppose for example you are automating a Gmail application, you are giving username, you are entering password. Once you click on login, it will take you to the dashboard, that is the inbox dashboard, and in the right side column you are interested to check that it is being logged in with the proper username which you have entered in the username field.
Yes,
So
yes.
there you can enter, there you can give a standard checkpoint by using the checkpoint properties. So if the checkpoint, while creating the test script, you are putting a checkpoint. While running, if the checkpoint, when the checkpoint step comes, it checks whether the username is correct or not. If it is correct, the checkpoint will be passed. Otherwise, it will throw an error saying that you have entered wrong username, or what are the properties you have entered during the checkpoint that is not matched during the runtime.
Okay, okay.
And parameterization. Parameterization is nothing but, suppose you want to, for example, you have written a test script for a Gmail login. Suppose you want to log in for 100 or 200 types of 200 sets of data, 200 usernames and passwords. So that time parameterization is very useful, and it makes your job very easy. Just with the parameterization concept, we can do login and logout for 200 usernames and passwords at a time. So here we have different types of parameterization. We can do parameterization using actions. We can do parameterization using data table. We can do parameterization using external files. So these are purpose of parameterization. Got right?
Okay.
Normally, see, if you want to log, suppose for example, if you are doing a login with a single username and password, the same thing if you want to do for n number of times, that using this parameterization concept, we can do that. That just the one line answer is like, if you want to pass multiple sets of data for testing, then parameterization is, we can go with parameterization concept.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And what is data table? So data table is nothing but it's an inbuilt sheet in QTP for passing data to type parameters in runtime. As I said, like this is one type of parameterization. Normally, we have two types of sheets by default in data table. One is global, another is action. This global sheet is only one global sheet we will be having for entire test, and for each and every action we will be having one local sheet, that is action sheet. For example, in a test, if you want to create a number of actions, then we will be having a number of local sheets, but there will be only one global sheet. We can use this global sheet for passing data through entire script. With this local action, local sheet, we can pass the data within that local action. We can pass test data from local to script also, but using that action parameters. Okay.
Okay, right.
So why we are using? I mean, as I said earlier, like ways to parameterize. We can parameterization can be done using data table, using action global sheets, using environmental parameters. We can do parameter using random parameters also. Okay.
Okay.
And we have one more concept called actions. So we have different types of actions. As I said earlier, if you open a test in QTP, by default it is an action 0. We'll have one action. Suppose you in the test we can create many actions like action 0, action by default there will be action 1, action 0. We can create action 1, action 2, action 3. As you like, maximum, if I am not wrong, we can create more than 1,000 actions in one test if
Okay.
it is required. So we have different types of action. Creating a new action. In a test, we can create a new action, and we can call a reusable action from other tests, and we can call external action from other tests. And we have one more action called copy action. Suppose if you want, we have an action in some other test. If you want to call, you are calling again. If you want to modify that, if you try to modify, we can modify, but it doesn't impact the original action. That is called to copy of action. But if you call an external action, if you try to modify, we can't modify because that is a read-only mode. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So the way how we can calling actions, as I said earlier, we can call actions from other actions. We can create actions. We can create new actions. We can call copy to actions. We can call reusable action, external actions. So all this like. One more concept is called debugging. Suppose if you are written a script in a test, if you want to debug, there is a in view there is a menu called view, and in menu we have a debugging option, debug view pane. In that view we have three types of tabs. One is watch, one is variable, and one is, sorry, there is a mistake, this is not view, that is a variable, and command. So with this actually we can insert breakpoints and we can debug our code in a step-by-step mode. So while debugging, we can watch the variables and we can watch the value of the variables. We can view commands. We can view the and all the variables which are declared in the test, and values that are assigned to the variables during runtime also.
Okay.
So this is a very good concept called debugging. This debugging we can mainly in debugging we will insert breakpoints and we can debug in a step-by-step way so that we can see what the code is doing. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. How to handle custom objects? So custom objects is nothing but virtual objects. For example, suppose if your QTP is not able to identify any objects, I mean, even in your application there might be many hidden objects also. That time if QTP is not able to identify that object, using virtual object concept, we can identify, we can create that object in what type of class as you require, and we can give the name and we can save it, we can add to the script, and then while running it identifies and it performs the action what you have given in that object identification mechanism. So this is wonderful concept called virtual objects. So if QTP is not able to identify any object in your application, using this virtual object wizard, you can add that object to your script, and while running, it will perform the action what you need, what actions you need.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Yes.
So while in depth, I will tell you clearly with examples. So regular expressions. So this is one more beautiful concept called regular expressions. What is the purpose of regular expression means? Suppose if you want to make anything generic, or if you want to do any what do you call, any actions or any kind of for example, if you have browser name, so that browser name need to be common for all the scripts. Means we can do regular expression giving some signs actually. So we have a lot of signs. This I will tell you in depth while during course period. Okay.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So that is exceptions. Exceptions is nothing but we have a lot of exceptions. Like while you are running a script, you'll get a pop-up. You might get a pop-up, or your application might crash. This kind of exceptions we can get. So to handle that exceptions, we have a lot of concepts. We have a concept called recovery scenario. So using this recovery scenario, we can handle that exception. For example, while running a script, suddenly you will get a pop-up. So if you want to handle that pop-up without interrupting your script to continue your execution, we can recover using this recovery scenario. We can handle that pop-up. So here recovery scenario, there are two ways. Using manual, like there is an option uh, uh, in QTP for this pop-up recovery scenario. There is a steps. There is three ways. First, we need to trigger when you create a recovery scenario. Whenever it occurs, it will trigger. It will recover your recovery scenario. While recovering, it will give you recovery operations, whatever you have given during creating the recovery scenario. After operations, post-recovery operations, what has to done after recovering that pop-up. So continue your execution. So in depth, I'll tell you in course. Okay.
Okay.
So one more thing I failed to tell you. For this recovery manner, for this recovery scenarios, well, when you are getting pop-up, we can write functions actually. So that functions we can write using a VBScript. So even that I'll tell you how to write a function using for this pop-up also. So whenever a pop-up occurs, so how it occurs through that function, I'll give you a brief example. Okay. Hello. Hello. Dinesh, are you there? Hello. Hello.
Yes, yes, I'm here.
Uh, okay. I've seen suddenly you are on mute. Is any? Do you
No, no,
find
no,
any?
no, no, no. Just for some reason. Yes, yes. Go ahead.
Okay. So working with files actually. So as I said, with QTP, for example, you are writing a script in QTP. You want to pass values from different files. With QTP, we can pass value using Excel. We can pass value from XML. We can pass value from text files. So with working with QTP, using files is very easy. QTP supports working with Excel, with text files, with XML files. So how to work with Excel? QTP with Excel is very important in your real-time scenarios. If you want to pass data, if you want to pass any text, you can pass from Excel. How QTP retrieves data from Excel, all this end up you can discuss, and it is very important actually. One more concept is descriptive programming. Normally, when you add an object to the object repository adds the properties of the object to identify during runtime. So without object repository, we can identify the objects in the application using descriptive programming concept. So that is the purpose of that is a descriptive programming. How we can write that code using without object repository, that we will tell in depth. Work
Okay.
with child objects. So in an application, there will be a lot of objects. So for example, we have a web element. So in an application, there might be having many web elements. So how we can count the web elements and find out each web element properties and names and performing actions on each and every web element or any image or web edit or link or text. So there is a concept called child objects. With these child objects, we can work with these child objects, we can perform all the operations. So still we have many concepts in QTP also. These are all the important concepts, and we have some other concepts called synchronization and working with quality center, connecting quality center, and how to download files from quality center, how to connecting the QTP with quality center. All these are all the important concepts about QTP concepts. So coming to till now, I discussed about QTP and QTP concepts. We want to write a script, we need QTP plus VBScript concepts. So about VBScript. Actually, VBScript is a lightweight language and it's a subset of like VBA, Visual Basic Application. So
Mhm.
QTP, yeah, QTP, QTP supports many scripting language like VBScript, like JavaScript, like Perl, like these are all the major. So in this, VBScript is more famous. So while in course, I'll tell you about VBScript, complete VBScript, what VBScript operators. So we have different types of operators in VBScript, like arithmetic operator, logical operator, concatenation, comparison operators, and properties of VBScript. We have description property, number property, length property. These are all the very major which you use frequently in testing and writing script. Built-in functions. In VBScript, there are 96 built-in functions in VBScript. Few are like split, in string, mid, trim, string reverse, replace, string compare, U-bound, L-bound, left, right. These are all the very frequently used functions in VBScript, and functions and procedures. So while, as I said, when you are writing a script, you will be creating user-defined functions and procedures. So this is very, very important. So to reduce your code and to reduce your lengthy procedure, we can keep functions are very, very important in VBScript. So how to create a function? What is the syntax of a function? So these are things we can discuss in depth in course time. These are defined functions actually. So I have written a small addition function. Addition function, like passing two values in the function, adding it, and printing the output. It's a small for a demo. I have added this. So if you just copy and say paste in QTP, if you execute it, and output will be displayed. Okay.
Yes.
As in other languages, we have statements and loops. Like we need if statement, if else statement. Even it is there in C, C++, Java, everywhere. So if statement, if else statement. What is the nature of all the statements? Where we use and how to use, and loops like for, while, do while. So select case. So all these are very important, and all these are similar like in other programming language. Methods in VBScript. So there are few methods which are used very frequently, like clear method, replace method, write line method. So these are very important in VBScript. So finally coming to framework. So if you want to use the QTP tool, if you want to test any application, whether it's respect of Java application, web application, .NET application, we need a framework. The framework might be a hybrid, data-driven, BPT, or modular, whatever it may be. We are designing a framework, and we are customizing the framework, and we are writing the scripts, we are executing the scripts, we are saving the scripts, and we are uploading the results. So finally, I'll share you how to create a framework and how to choose what type of framework we need to use for our application, and all these things we will discuss in the framework sessions. Okay.
Okay.
So we have different some famous frameworks in the market, like keyword-driven, data-driven, BPT, hybrid, all this. So, if you have any queries, you can ask.
Okay.
So in demo, it's like it will be. I will be a bit fast, but coming to practically, when you work with QTP on live, so I can then teach you each and everything pin by pin. So what is pane, what is test script, what is object repository, what is how to create a user-defined function, what is inbuilt function, where to use, how to connect to quality center, how to work with merge tools, how to work with data table, how to work with XML files, Excel files, text files, and how to work with external XML files, environmental variables. So there are a lot of concepts. So when you work practically, when you practice practically, that time you can come to know easily where we need to use all these concepts.